It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Yeah, so it is interesting. I suppose, like anything, if it's unknown territory, it's unknown what's going to happen. They have been talking about a double cut for the month of May, which would just be phenomenal, obviously. But yeah, I suppose whenever there's uncertainty in the worldwide economy, think back to COVID times, I guess there is that level of it could go either way. But for the most part, what we're hearing in the media, I think it's sounding pretty promising for purchases right now and with rate cuts and things like that.
And that is Madeleine Roberts in Melbourne, and we'll be getting back to her very shortly on the Real Estate Breakfast this morning as we launch into another episode with more property information for you, connecting you to the largest real estate podcast library across Australia every morning, 7 days a week. And you can stream us anytime, anywhere on multiple platforms. And a reminder, because we are coming up to a long Easter weekend, we will be here. So it's a great time to catch up on some of those episodes. It is a Tuesday morning, April the 15th. Now, Aussie mortgage holders are finally seeing light at the end of the tunnel, with financial pressure beginning to ease just a little bit across the country. PropTrack News industry data shows that a significant drop in borrowers under mortgage stress is happening, suggesting that confidence is returning. More people are successfully refinancing or restructuring their loans, helped by recent interest cuts and relaxed lending rules. And with serviceability improving and borrow sentiment lifting, many are now feeling hopeful that they too could break free from the mortgage prison by the end of this year. And that has got to be a welcomed proposition. Let's right now welcome back to the Real Estate Breakfast Madeleine Roberts from M R Advocacy, and a very good morning to you, Madeleine. As I say, people breaking free from mortgage prison because of that sentiment going up a little bit. It's probably something you've noticed in your neck of the woods.
Thank you, Craig. It certainly is. So even in anticipation of that first rate cut, we saw consumer confidence returning. We saw so many people who were otherwise waiting on the sidelines starting to return. And obviously, since that cut has taken place, since then, it's really been going crazy on the ground in the Melbourne market, particularly in those lower price points. So it's been very interesting to see.
Yes, the question is, are the falling rates about to supercharge or even turbocharge the property market? It's always the same. There's either not enough or too much. It's feast or famine. So these interest rates, they're likely, of course, to be more as we progress through 2025. The Australians are at the moment upgrading, they're refinancing, or they're buying that second property. So what do you think? Do you think that it's going to super turbocharge the property with these rate cuts?
I certainly do. I love how you said feast or famine, because I think it's definitely time to feast. People are just coming out in droves. Like, open for inspections currently, we're seeing 40 to 50 groups through, and properties are selling above the range. So buyers are definitely out in force. And if we see more rate cuts, there's only going to be more lending and more money and more people out in full force. So I think it's going to be a very interesting 12 to 24 months in real estate if we see those further cuts.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we've got the Trump craziness around the trade wars, and whether that is actually going to help the Aussie mortgage holders. Now, there's a school of thought that the more crazy that it gets with these trade wars, that potentially the rate cuts could come down. I think there's also the potential that it could go the other way. I don't think it's an absolute given, because if it starts to affect the economy, who knows? But have you got a school of thought on that?
Yeah, so it is interesting. I suppose, like anything, if it's unknown territory, it's unknown what's going to happen. They have been talking about a double cut for the month of May, which would just be phenomenal, obviously. But yeah, I suppose whenever there's uncertainty in the worldwide economy, think back to COVID times, I guess there is that level of it could go either way. But for the most part, what we're hearing in the media, I think it's sounding pretty promising for purchases right now and with rate cuts and things like that.
So with that first rate cut, being a buyer's agent there in Melbourne, that 25 basis points, when that was slashed, what did you see weeks afterwards? Like, we've heard from others saying it was just so positive as a result of sort of turning the bend. Is that fair to say?
100%. So what we're seeing at the moment on the ground is prices appearing to be back now at where they were in 2021 during the COVID peak. So Melbourne's had quite a slump over the past few years. We've kind of leveled out now and we're definitely seeing that increase. As soon as we had that rate cut, purchases were really coming out in droves. It's been great to see and it's great overall for the Melbourne market. I think we've been well overdue.
What about the first home buyers? Is it also fair to say that this cohort has really sort of got a bit of fire in the belly for that first home property?
Oh, 100%. We're seeing a lot of first home buyers back out in force as well. And what I'm finding is at auctions particularly, prices are going quite crazy over the range and it's always the first home buyers. So I think they can feel the pinch. They can see the amount of people that are out in force. And obviously emotions are running high. So particularly at auctions, it's only driving that even higher. And yeah, that's definitely first home buyers.
And we are talking to Madeleine there in Melbourne this morning. When we come back, we'll talk about the rate cuts and how many more we are likely to see in 2025 and continue to talk about the Melbourne property market. We'll do that next.
Don't forget to subscribe. We have so many episodes, all designed to help you better understand the constantly evolving and dynamically changing real estate property market.
It's about timing the purchase when it's right for your own personal circumstances. I think the worst scenario that you could potentially be in is losing your job and then defaulting on those mortgage repayments. And, you know, there's two ways to look at affordability. It's not only saving a deposit, but it's also the ongoing repayments that you need to be able to make. And look, we are expecting rate cuts and more rate cuts this year. But overall, I mean, he said he was purchasing in Canberra. Canberra is a buyer's market at the moment, and there is lots of supply. Overall choice is 55% higher than the 5-year average in the ACT. So choice is there. And those conditions are probably going to be largely stagnant. We're not expecting prices to rise significantly in Canberra. So I would always lay out every decision needs to be the primary guidance is what is right for you.
And right now it is time for another property tip, and we're going inside Victoria and catching up with Kate Ashton again. She's from Maryborough, and a very good morning to you, Kate. You've got a property tip for us this morning?
Good morning, Craig. I certainly do. So if you're going to an area to look at purchasing property and you haven't been there before, my high suggestion is go and stay there for a few days. Look at what is important to you and if it connects to you.
And also really important that if you do that, to be talking to key people inside the street or even wider outside of the street to find out the flavour.
Absolutely. Ask random people, why do you live here? What's great about living in this area?
One of the questions I think is always good to ask is there any noise level that is of concern? Is there any reputation of any drugs and alcohol? Flush it out.
Absolutely. Ask questions. If you don't ask a question, how will you find out the answer? So whether that's to an agent, to somebody in a cafe, to someone in the street, ask questions. Don't be shy, because those sort of things are very important for you, whether you're buying for an investment or for owner-occupier, to know about the area that you're looking to spend your money.
Navigate the world of real estate like a pro, with expert insights, opinions and trends to up your game and knowledge when buying your next property.
And it is a Real Estate Tuesday, working towards a long weekend. The Easter break is coming up and a lot of people looking forward to it after the first quarter. The Melbourne property market, we are looking at it through the lens of Madeleine, who is a buyer's agent. And just in terms of the Easter break coming up, Madeleine, it's always a tricky time, isn't it? Because people kind of go into this whole pause mode. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes and no, actually. I think because things are heating up so much, the weekend just gone, there was a lot of auctions scheduled. And because people are out in force at the moment, I don't know if it's going to slow down. Perhaps for the long weekend, there'll be less people out and obviously less auctions. But all in all, inspections during the week and surrounding that long weekend, I think we're still going to have a lot of people out and about.
And when you talk about the auctions, anything that you're observing come auction time, is there something different that is happening since that 25 basis points drop in the interest rate? Is there something in the mixture of that?
For sure. So as I mentioned, like auction prices are going far beyond that of the quoted range. I'm urging anybody who speaks to me at the moment and they're considering bidding at auction, I do encourage them to ignore the quoted range and to do their due diligence themselves. I actually bid at auction in the heart of the city only maybe 3 weeks ago now. The property sold $540,000 above the range.
Yeah, and it's quite frustrating when people turn up because they've got the range, and sometimes this is deliberately on the lower end of the scale. I would imagine that you're likely to see that in more of a positive territory, probably, more of the same, if not worse.
Yes, I think so long as you're well versed in the market, you don't really take quoted ranges as gospel. You do your own due diligence, educate yourself. Yeah, as long as you're mindful, I think that you will be fine. But it is encouraging to see that, there's so much happening in the Melbourne market. So I don't necessarily see it as a negative, if I'm honest.
So we talk about the positivity around the interest rates dropping. How many more do you think you're likely to see between now and the end of the year?
I honestly can't say with true conviction, but I do anticipate by June we should have at least maybe 3 more, fingers crossed.
Wow, 3 more. So that would be 4 by the end of June.
Well, they're anticipating maybe a double in May and then maybe 1 more.
Oh, yeah, I have heard that. Yes, 50 basis points. I mean, you'd be licking your lips with regard to 50 basis points coming off.
Well, yeah, I think most households across Australia would be very, very pleased if that was truly the case. So we'll just see what happens, I suppose.
Potentially 75 basis points off between those 2 reductions. All right, well, great to chat with you there, Madeleine, in Melbourne. Enjoy the upcoming weekend, Easter long weekend. It's a time to sort of go in for a bit of a breather, come out the other side firing, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Thank you so much for having me, Craig. I really appreciate it. And I hope you and all of the listeners have a great Easter as well.
Unlock the secrets of real estate and stay informed about the latest real estate buzz with hot market trends, emerging suburbs, and hidden gems.
And that usually means it'll push house prices up even further. So the recent economic turmoil we've seen could make these salary increases that you will be required to earn even bigger than these figures.
And that means that buyers must not only earn more to qualify for loans, but also they've got to save faster, and they can't really keep up with what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at house prices going up about 7% a year, if you average the last number of years out, wage increase is about half of that, about 3.5. So house prices are accelerating about twice as fast as wages are growing, which means it gets increasingly more difficult to save a deposit, an increasingly higher amount of stamp duty required, and then an increasingly higher amount required to actually fund the debt on a home. So unaffordability is probably going to continue to get worse, unfortunately, in Australia.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.